Known as the Great American Speedway, located in Fort Worth, just west of Dallas, is the Texas Motor Speedway. The next round for festivities here tonight for the UIS Precision Speed Solutions Cup Series, here on Precision Entertainment. My name is James Newton. Alongside me is going to be Howie Burrows in the comms booth, and we're going to be bringing you all the action from Fort Worth, Texas, as the Cup Series continues its romp around the states. And we will be continuing to head through this season. Talladega last time out, Phoenix next week, but all eyes are on the fight tonight, where all of our drivers will be looking to take home the big trophy at the end of the evening. And speaking of drivers, having a look at Zachary Trevino up at the top of the sheet. Tyler Helms and Aaron Kovnat putting in their 2 cents. They're quite far ahead up in the standings. As we look a little further back, Trenton Wilkin, Connor Blasco, and Axel Smith right on the line as we are about 2/3 of the way into the hunt for the chase. Logan Brink just on the brink. Nicholas Rode, Jacob Bryant, and Joseph Enright in with a shout, with plenty of rounds to go. And speaking of rounds, again, we see here that 1.5 mile intermediate dogleg circuit. Turns 1 and 2 at 20 degrees, turns 3 and 4 a little more, about 4 degrees difference there. The straight's relatively flat. Built in 1996, though the first races were run in 1997. I'm assuming they all just stood around and looked at what a good job they had done. And we also have a look at the Big Haas TV, the world's largest HD LED screen, which I've gotten the pleasure to look at. And we have got a fantastic evening in store. And again, as I said, I'm James Newton. Howie Burrows alongside me here in the booth as the drivers are making their way around for qualifying. And Howie, looking forward to this one.
Indeed, Texas back to an intermediate on the schedule, and I always find this the slightly awkward stepchild of the intermediates myself. Quite high banked, quite fast, but uniquely tight and tricky coming out of some of the turns, as drivers are already seeing in this oddly open qualifying session. They're working it out between themselves. Hopefully we're not going to see too much of that action under green. Maybe they're having fun, who really knows. It's a long race ahead of us. We did just get out of Talladega, of course, the epic long super speedway. This one going to be a little bit more traditional, 134 laps, 200 miles around the oval, with 35 and 99 lap stages throughout. No faster repairs than ever, so try not to wreck on the first lap.
Yeah, definitely. And obviously try not to wreck on the last lap. Try not to wreck on any of those laps, as it looks like the driver's trying to get that out of their system. We saw Zachary Trevino in the 26 kind of piling into an already 2-car pileup on the inside of the back straight. So bringing a bit of a smile to my face and also making me grimace a bit as they made some impact. But again, the fantastic views from this Texas Motor Speedway. We're going to get the starting grid for this evening's race. Trevor Huff putting it on pole with a 29.167 and the 21 machine, although it shows a 0 on the side of that car, alongside Joshua Carey. Dead heat in the 35 up on the front row. Travis Prather almost a 10th back in the 58. Max Ford in the 11 lining up in 4th position. 5th will be Jacob Clarino from the Philippines in the 54, alongside Finnegan Myers in the 00 in 6th position. 7th goes the way of Tyler Helms in the 7, alongside Trenton Wilkin in the 19 in 8th spot. 9th is going to be Zachary Trevino, top of the standings in the 16. Axel Smith in the 26 Pickle Machine lines up in 10th. And then further back, Brady Schreckengost in the number 3 lines up 11th. 12th spot goes to Hector Collazo in the 87. 13th goes the way of Connor Blasco in the 98. 20th Chris Parker lines up in 14th. Driver's about 3.5 tenths back. The 90 of Nicholas Rode is going to be lining up in 15th. William Johnson rolls off in 16th for the 41. The 99 of Christian Zarate coming home with a podium last time out. lines up in 17th, the last of the drivers to put in a qualifying lap. Henry Kalhoff in the 17 lines up 18th. Joseph Enright, the 07, lines up 19th. Asher Bunkley in 20th. 21st, Jacob S. Bryant in the 97. The 94 of Calvin C. Harvey lining up 22nd. In that Beam NG livery, Damian Cisneros in the 71 lining up 23rd. 24th, Riley Ibanez in the 96 Petro-Canada machine. As we have the leader backing up into the 54, it seems. Not quite sure what's going on there.
Lots of heat. There's lots of heat in this league. Trust me. Drivers sometimes all over themselves. Looking for it. We'd have an hour's worth of racing if we had went green the whole way. Could have a couple cautions in here as well, scheduled on the books as well. But this race shouldn't be a total marathon. Being the big high banks of Texas Motor Speedway, it's pretty abrasive on those tires, and you've got to remember the hot summers around here, 116 track temperature. Those tires are going to be quite shredded up, and you're going to manage them well. As I mentioned earlier, I find the corners here just to be a little bit tighter and more difficult than your average intermediate. It's wider than the likes of Charlotte, but sometimes I just find the entrance of 1 and 2 particularly tricky. It's quite hard to get yourselves a grip around there. You can see some dust already being kicked off the back of these cars. But with lots to play for all these drivers, we could go down a pace, could go down to strategy. 5 tyre sets available, so if we get the cautions, there's lots of opportunities to play with them. Could encourage drivers to burn through them just that little bit more.
It'd be interesting to see how they handle. Specifically, you said turn 1 and 2, which has a little bit less banking than the far side of the circuit. Dust, as you said as well. And 116 on the track. In this region, it could get up to that in air temp, as we see the Chevy Silverado continuing to make its way around. Drivers eagerly anticipating, as they're a little bit side by side on the inside of the grid. Just looking for a little bit of breathing room. And as you said, very, very tense here at the start. These Cup cars going to be making their way to the start finish line. Glad you are all joining us here on Precision Entertainment. Just about to get this race underway. Talking with a couple of drivers right before this event, I was asking if it's going to be a tire or a fuel race, and they were all kind of shrugging their shoulders. It kind of depends on how you play it. I would eyeball this as a tire war here, Howie, but again, drivers trying to back off and save whatever they have for later on may be the play.
Very often the case at Texas, it becomes quite the tire war. It's not just the heat, but it's the high banks of the circuit on both ends. Intermediates in the next gen, it was certainly designed to fly on these sort of tracks in these sorts of conditions and test the tires in unique ways. Going to be quite easy to slide, I think, through the turns, putting a little bit too much on exit. A lot of drivers do it very frequently. In the last few races I've seen in this league are on very unorthodox tracks. I've never actually quite seen them run on a typical track. So hoping the best for everybody's car and sanity in one piece, but the pace car's finally in. We're looking to get this started.
Let's see if this race is anything but typical as we get the green flag. We are racing the PSS Cup Series in Texas. We are clean and green through 3 corners of the first lap. The drivers 3, almost 4 wide, a little further back, as now they're trying to settle into a relatively normal 2x2. Finnegan Myers on the outside of Travis Prather, who had a really good look at the win last time at Talladega. Ended up coming together with Connor Blasco on the final straightaway, not even the final corner. Ended up not going their way. Hector Collazo trying to have a look around the outside. Brady Truck and Ghost as Max Ford trying to make a look for third.
Going to be multiple grooves active here just due to the sheer width of the place. That line off the bottom isn't going to be completely unviable. And I think there's going to be quite a little bit of side-by-side through the turns. Something's very annoying to be on the side of the track you don't really want to be on now, and just know you're getting pinned there real bad. Some side draft could be a real factor. Clarino and Ford still going at it. More laps down the line. Joshua Carey has mostly gotten out of that train. He wants to try and make it maybe a chase for Huff in his own time, but as always, the battle between pushing hard now and pushing hard later going to remain very, very constant in the eyes of these drivers.
Absolutely will be, and keeping an eye a little further back on the likes of Tyler Helms, Finnegan Myers. I say further back, only down to 5th is the 00, so still within sight of the leader proper. Quite nice and close at the moment, as it is Huff, then Carey, then Ford, then Clarino, Myers, Smith, Prather, Schreckengost, Wilkin, and Hector Collazo. Your top 10 at the moment. Drivers almost single file down that back straight. They fan out a little bit through corners. Rubino on the outside, a little further back. Travis Prather being taken by Axel Smith, going to fall in line for the 54. Drivers just trying to basically trade a couple jabs. No knockout punches at the moment. Right on board with 3rd place, this is Max Ford. Looking at the back of Joshua Carey, who again, Trevor Huff and Carey separated by absolutely nothing. A little bit of a twitch there for the 35, a little bit vulnerable. Was Max Ford trying to go for a move, or are we just trying to get a bit of separation for the rest of the pack? Looks like trying to settle into a groove for the 11.
She gave him a bit of a shove down the tri-oval. Not usually typical to do it on an intermediate like this, but this sort of car can probably take it quite well. Seeing a big push by Trevor Huff in the lead, though. He's already half a second down the road, over pushing early in the stint. You know what that does for you if the field doesn't go yellow. We might see that come back to him and hurt, but right now he's just pulling off a tremendous advantage, and he's continuing to run with it. For P10, still stuck side by side. Finally, Zachary Trevino gets the advantage out of that turn. Now our top 4 single file, and Finnegan Mayers is sort of the next driver. There's quite some distance off the back of that pack, and still waiting to work that one down. Here's Clarino again. Not quite getting it done. Not quite getting it moving. Brady at Schreckengost now P3, and he's got a slide. Oh, it's a bad one. He's holding on to it. He's holding on to it accidentally. Whoa, that almost went bad at least 3 different ways in a row.
Tyler Helms trying to have a look on the, sends it up into 1, very, very close, but it probably trying to clap out of the window for Brady Schreckengost, able to hang on to that. Seemed to go on forever there. That was terrifying. And of course, it doesn't help that the front straight on this Texas Motor Speedway is anything but. And now the 54. Travis Prather trying to keep Zachary Trevino at bay. The 54, a bit of a swap on, able to catch that one as Tyler Helms way up the track. We're going to be 3 wide. Almost 4. They fan out. It gives a bit of an optical illusion. They all are able to settle back in quite nicely. So Helms still in the top 10. So again, Huff, Carey, Ford. Top 3, Clarino, Myers, Smith, Collazo, Trevino, Prather. Oh my goodness, as the 3, Brady Schreckengost, well outside the top 20, still on the gas. Or at least not braking at all, which probably would spin them around. What a moment there. We saw the 3 all kinds of squirrely, Howie, but now we're on a nature hike.
He gets away with it. Well, it was a wrecking call, very loose on exit. This car's starting to do that quite a bit to people. And he just decides, I don't care. I'm going to go through. Not the first time this has happened to Brady. Of course, this was him just a few laps earlier on in the race. This was his epic save on board. Good saves up and down the track.
Dips it into 3. Trevino down the inside. Still pounding around.
Just about keeps it going in one go. Is Trenton Wilkin, not Schreckengost, and he's around, and he's sideways, and that's going to be the first yellow.
Yeah, 17 there, kind of out of nowhere. W Energy Drink Machine. Still has some overheated tires. Those things are well over 116 degrees considering the track temp is that. I can't tell who went down the inside. An absolute legend able to make that call. Expecting the 17 to eventually bite and go back up the track. And all by themselves, so it's not like they're missing air on the front. And he just tries to lock it down.
That's a daring call to go down low, let me tell you that. I feel like I think that was Chris Parker that decided to go low, and that was a little bit daring by him. We'll take a look on the onboard. I'm pretty sure this was him. I mean, it's a little bit daredevil, I think, to see a car ahead going one way, going another, and just sort of abandoning down the bottom. But he is going up the track, so I see why he does it. Slows, gets away with it, gets on through.
I think the reason that stuck with me is because I probably wouldn't have been able to make that decision in that kind of time, and it worked out. I would have gone high side just with everybody else, and probably would have ended up in the wall, is the way most of those go for me. But currently it's going the way of Trevor Huff. So we have our first caution of the day.
Some drivers stopped here.
The top three.
P13 down have stopped. Nicholas Rode the first to looks like we've just taken fuel. So Rode, Blasco, Harvey, Bunkley, and Ibanez have just taken fuel. Trenton Wilkin below, they've taken tyres on top of that. Quite early to take that, but you do get a lot of sets, so maybe they're thinking about just playing an offset strategy here.
Potentially, if it's not going their way, why not roll the dice, see what they can do? Maybe the race will come to them. We'll also get a chance, again, as you said, Blasco, Rode, Harvey, those drivers and just taking fuel. So Trenton Wilkin will be the first driver to be able to show what potentially new tires will do. Again, 14 laps for the rest of the field from 12th on up. They still kind of have a ways. They got about 5 cars. Now it looks like Riley Ibanez down pit road again. The 96, second time down.
Lining up for our restart, and it's going to be worth already, I guess, looking out here for the difference in the tyres. Some of those fuel drivers, I think, just want to flip a stage around potentially, but some of those even further back. It's a curious call. You have 75% fuel limit, so you're limited a little bit, but you're not going to be choked into a million stops around here. Bit of a middle ground between the two in terms of strategy differences on the road. Also had William Johnson already leave the session, so we have our first driver down and out. Well, sure, that may be personal reasons. I don't think that's tied to any particular wreck on the track. He parked it up relatively early. Race still in control of Trevor Huff. Now, though, second half of this run's going to start to come in, and that's going to, I think, change things quite a bit. We have our stage at lap 35, so there's going to be 20 to go until we reach that point.
Yeah,
We've just been
fascinated by how this restart's gonna go, considering that we've seen the drivers, again, 3 wide at certain points, but relatively tame and just trying to hang on to it themselves versus really fighting it out. But now we will see what kind of ferocity the drivers have in store for each other as we go green once more. The Cup Series in Texas.
Quite the dive to the bottom already there for Finnegan Myers. Wants to make this 3 wide about as early as possible. Quite the jump on the reaction, but he might actually get this one done all the way up to P4 now, side by side to P3 with Clarino. Doesn't quite get that done, but that's some braveness out of a restart. I know a lot of leagues and a lot of drivers that will tell you you're overdoing it for that, but you know, play to him, he got it done cleanly. Oh, another yellow in the back. Chris Parker.
That'll be Chris Parker rumbling their way down, completing the first lap of the restart, as it looks like absolute mayhem back here. It's 2x2, about 5-6 deep almost. Oh, and that's somebody kind of getting into the back. Not sure if there's a bit of load on the rear. Another driver as well. Oh, and a big accident just before the start-finish line. So Parker almost lucky that they weren't involved any further. So down the inside, going to drop in front of the 17. And we're just fine on the apron. Oh, and then right there, the 20 either backing off or something. The 17 basically drove over them, and that's a big hit from the 96.
Yeah, it's Riley Ibanez who just gets smashed into another dimension. I don't know if this is linked to the first one or not, because he starts this wreck behind the drivers that cause it, which makes me think that another car's going to recoil into him on the track, and he gets a little bit of air from that one. Not nice.
Facing the wrong way. Now we're going on board. Again, the high side for Riley Ibanez. And it happens fairly far, well, not far in front of us, but it's going to be... Oh, we're thinking we can get through. An immediate left hand down as soon as we get smashed into the wall, trying to peel it off, and it's not going anywhere. So unfortunate for the 96. Which brings out another caution, which will, of course, help those that took only fuel. As we make our way through second caution of the day.
Make it talking about slow grind.
Yeah, definitely. Drivers talking about the rhythm of the race and trying to get into a groove, as we saw Finnegan Myers with that pretty impressive move. As you said, kind of a wild one, going 3 wide, couldn't quite get to third position, but still looking quite racy was Finn. We've seen those kinds of moves from the 00 late in the race when they either, have the better tires and have to make up, 15 spots, and they end up getting that done. So the 00 able to pull off some pretty spectacular moves this year, and we can probably add that one to the list. But the trick is, are they using their stuff up in a way that maybe the top drivers are? Driver like Tyler Helms potentially maybe not using up as much of their stuff. See drivers getting into their 2x2 formation officially for this next restart. And Huff still bossing it up front.
Well, I think he's hoping he's actually going to get some racing done rather than another stop-start. I'm pretty sure the only meatball flag when I went to Riley Ibanez driver that got absolutely cleared out at the end of that last caution. He's now pretty much out of this race. I make it 2 that are gone already, and we're not even done with the first stage.
Has been a very, very... I was going to say a spicy one, but the racing has been relatively close. We've seen a handful of good moves, a couple of, again, 3 wide moments, which are a little bit nail-biting, but not too much in the way of moves, so much as the drivers trying to hang on to these cup cars, trying not to have their own accidents regardless of the drivers around them. Have to see how they fare on this next restart. And of course, I always wonder, why don't they just back off a little bit? Nobody's going to back off. It's Texas. It's the UIS Precision Speed Solutions Cup Series, and we are green once again.
This time Clarino not quite in there with a move that is quite as bold or ridiculous. Few wobbles though, and he's still close enough to the field here to present himself with a problem, make it very wide in the back of the field. We've already seen quite a bit out of Brady Schreckengoss, and all of it good. He's got some distance to sort of work his way up now from the back, so better not over push it and overdo it. We could be seeing plenty more here today. Further on back around Trevino and Carey, I'm seeing that drivers are very, very, very high up on the track. Hoping the wall isn't really particularly common around here, but he can just about do it and get away with it. Huff's still getting away, and I always just keep looking at Huff's gap to the rest of the drivers behind and thinking that is noticeably large.
21 really working well at the moment, which again may be the canary in the coal mine. Maybe the 21 just using up all their stuff and seeing if anybody tries to go with them. course, having the clean air up in front, nobody to the side, able to run their race. As we saw earlier on, Trevino and Axel Smith, the 16 and 26, almost a quarter mile apart as one was all the way up the track. The other one was right to the bottom of the apron. Currently now being split by Joshua M. Carey, who is on pole position. If only they'd gone 1,000th faster. Shows you how close the drivers are here, as Tyler Helms, now the latest driver, to be right up on the high side. It's going to look for an enormous slingshot around the 87 and has it. Trying to get to Zarate as well. Zarate goes wide. Meanwhile, Finnegan Myers down low on Max Ford for second place.
Oh, driver in the wall, straight out of the race in the back. He's still here, but he almost just ricocheted into everybody. I actually thought Helms was in the wall there. I thought he was making a serious mistake, and it turns out he is slingshotting on the top. He's picking up momentum. Myers is one of those drivers I might have to look out for and might have to like consider as an outside shot for better results in this race, because he's looking bold and he's looking gutsy. And that's the sort of thing you often want to see from a driver on a track like this. If you're going to have lots of short runs, I'm going to encourage you. Still Ford ahead, though.
There's so many drivers that, from your competitor's perspective, are a humongous problem. Finnegan Myers, always a bit of a worry when they're in your rear view mirror. Even a bigger problem when they're in the front, out the front of the machine. At the top 8, all single file. Finnegan Myers ruining that by trying to go high side. A bit of an over-under on the 11. Gonna have the inside for this not straight down across the line. We start lap 25, 10 to go here in stage 1.
Finnegan Myers still trying to make the bottom work for himself. Trevor Huff may have gotten away with pushing very hard to start this stage, and if he can do that for the whole race, then I don't think he's got too much to worry about if tyres haven't actually become a significant problem. Still got 10 laps to find out, and these two cars aren't helping each other by battling like this, but it's been a pretty resounding good opening run. Further on back, Carey and Smith, they're sorted out. Also, my bad, I was thinking about Tristan Wilkin when I was talking about a driver that's been slipping and sliding a few times this race. And he's actually working his way up, though, quite smoothly and cleanly.
Yeah, definitely up the inside of, well, I was going to say up the inside of Hector Collazo. They're still side by side. Meanwhile, for second place, and that is a dump. Max Ford into the wall, across the line, able to keep going. We stay green. Finnegan Myers and company getting swallowed up, so Max Ford down to 10th, maybe falling even further. So Jacob Clarino still up there. So Zachary Trevino inherits second position. Jacob Clarino, oh, we have a massive accident. That's the 20 going around. That's Chris Parker. And I believe that's also Brady Schreckengoss. So two drivers who've already had issues and immediately tows. And that is a humongous, that's another caution on lap 28.
Two independent problems. There's like a Max Ford first. He's not going to be a fan of this one. Let me tell you that. He's a little bit frustrated on the microphone about it. Oh, it's an attempt at shooting up and around on the outside, and that double zero not completely clear sends him back. That is going to cause a little bit of damage to the steering, but that's nothing compared to what happened to Chris Parker. Who is it going to be into that 11 again? No, he's just going to snap and just claim a victim. I am not going to make this race a sounding board for my complaints about the next gen car quite yet, but it is certainly behaving like the next gen does. I'll just put it like that. Lots of sort of random difficult snaps, and that's going to become the long run character of this race. I think we're seeing, I mean, I was also catching sort of some drivers struggling to keep it together, exiting turns just before that. Seems to keep happening and keep escalating.
Lots of drivers. I say lots of drivers. I see two that have not come down to pit road. Everybody else grumbling on down. See how those strategies play out. It looks like Trenton Wilkin in the 19. Calvin C. Harvey, the 94, also staying out, inheriting second position. We'll see where the rest of the field shakes out off of pit road. We're seeing lots of drivers taking tires. And it looks like it's going to be Clarino. It is going to be Clarino who gets Trevor Huff off the line in the 54. Going back to that incident with Ford and Myers, Howie, it looked like Myers trying to go to the outside. Do you think that was actually like trying to get the position, or was that more just trying to keep the 11 from tracking up?
I mean, I think both drivers are going to have very, very big disagreements basically on what the other driver was really trying to do. And that's one's going to think, oh, he blocked me, and the other one's going to think, oh, we shouldn't have gone for that. It felt a little bit like maybe some affordance should have been given, I think, by the car in front, because that was sort of going to end in disaster. You knew he was coming and you were making a risk, and basically Myers gets away with it on that case. He could have gotten wrecked, and I could have gotten way, way worse for him, and instead he really annoys another driver who's going to want payback, so it doesn't really work for him easily.
And of course, both drivers losing a handful of positions. Didn't mean trying to put you on the spot there for B race control. Obviously, that's not what we are going to be up to up here in the booth, as we are still currently under caution. Lap 31 comes up on the board. You see all of the drivers trying to look for anybody who has a funky stop. Jacob Bryant taking some repairs. We still see Riley Ibanez, 96, just hanging out. It's been over 10.5 minutes on pit road, unfortunately for them. It's like Clarino taking 2 potentially. And Huff and Trevino, extremely quick pit stops. If they took 4, I believe they would have. So Wilkin, Harvey on the front row, did not pit last cycle. Then it's Huff, Clarino, Trevino, Carey, Myers and Axel Smith, Hector Collazo, and Tyler Helms. With Christian Zarate, Travis Prather just outside the top 10. And Howie, we saw the 99 of Christian Zarate up into the wall. Was able to continue, but also had a bit of connection issue, it looked like, kind of blinking around. So we'll have to be watching out for that. As there they go again, the 99, 6th in line on the inside. Little bit of a blink, and you need to be not necessarily visible, but need to make sure that you are able to be there in terms of safeties. We're going to get this one back underway, working lap 32. We are green in Texas. Awful restart for the inside.
I mean, those cars on the front are on old tyres. That's not going to be very, very easy for them to deal with. Already Huff's on the rear end. He's got new tyres. It should be pretty effortless to get past Wilkin once a turn or 2 is done. Meanwhile, Calvin Harvey's just been dropping like a rock very early on from the stage. Huff back to the lead. Now Wilkin's going to be a bit of a roadblock for the rest of the field, really, more than anything else. A little bit touch and go. Myers up into P2 now, ready to try and make the chase. I'm going to presume that last caution was the stage. We're going to keep running green now. The next stage planned is a little bit further down the line now, lap 99 in this race. So it's going to be a fairly long run. It may demand some pit stops out of these drivers.
I think you are absolutely right, as we see Axel Smith in the wheel tracks of Joshua Carey on the high side. For relatively line astern. About 2 cars gaps between each driver. They all fan out into one. Tyler Helms sailing it off to the high side. You almost forget that they're there until they come back in with about 5 extra miles an hour or so. We're going to have a look around the outside of Christian Zarate, or at least trying to stick with Zarate, is Helms. Collazo doing battle with Wilkin. Into the wall was Collazo. Big block from the 99. It's all happening here as the driver's trying to find a little bit of space, settle down into a rhythm. It's been relatively stop-start, a bit of contact, and that is Calvin C. Harvey trying to find a bit of space as we pick up Trevino and Axel Smith. The 2 green machines trying to have a look at that solid black monster energy of Clarino, who's got a big problem now. Trevino coming around the outside. Oh, that almost looked like what Myers tried to do to Ford. Sticking that nose in on the high side.
Further near the back, starting to see some drivers really get their sort themselves out bit by bit. Still lots of movement up and around there. Brady Shrek and Goss still stuck in that pit road, so which I think he may have taken, here's some bad damage from him. It's going to take him several laps down. Riley Ibanez out of this race entirely on a meatball flag. And yeah, we're still seeing Zachary Trevino blink out, which is not really what you want to see on the road. And you know what? I had tech issues earlier today on another stream, and I'm convinced they're not happening here. So I actually, I think that's what we call a network issue on his end. Linus Stern all the way down to Joseph Enright, who is in P14, just trying to clear Calvin Harvey. Drivers hoping for a long run here, though. They're hoping now that this is the time they can settle their differences between them and just start racing.
Yeah, they've been a handful of drivers at least. Your Howie have been 2x2 more than they've been single file, it seems. They come down the back straight. You can see the gaps trying to form. And probably the most interesting of gaps is this 1/4 of a second. Huff and Myers with about 3/10 back to Trevino.
Wilken
a winner in the series.
Down.
Oh, you have some.
Yeah, Wilken just slid off into the apron and then immediately disconnected. I don't even know if I'm going to be able to replay that, because he really did just sort of slide into the apron and Alt F4 straight away. That's why you saw a car sideways for a second and he's gone.
Yeah, currently showing in 20th position, but obviously zeroed out, so there's no data coming from the 19. So Trenton Wilken look like they're going to be challenging for the win here in Texas. Unfortunate for them, so that will be at least 3 that are pretty much out of this one. 4 if you include Shrek and Goss, who actually has just rejoined. Currently, obviously, laps down, 7 laps back, around the 10th mark in terms of the field positioning. Trevor Huff still hanging in there. Finnegan Myers trying to apply the pressure, trying to go and get the 21, and has now brought that down to 2/10 of a second from 1/4, and now it's right back up. So it seems like it's just going corner by corner, as it does with the Precision Speed Solutions Cup Series drivers right on the edge.
Axel Smith to the top side. Looks like it's going to get it done. That top side seems to be getting faster and faster as the race comes in. It does seem to be working out very well. Myers' first driver that's really been able to challenge Trevor Huff for actually most of this race. I've seen a lot of drivers here sort of fall off him. I've seen slides out of corner entry and exit. You can see little subtle slides on the next gen where the cars are just slightly losing it. The best drivers are able to catch those while they're at it, so we'll give them that. Finnegan Myers, first drive, looks like he might be able to challenge him and could be the first change for lead this race. Started 6th, he has a bit of a wobble, but Trevor's pace has just disappeared all of a sudden. Maybe he's slowing up for management, maybe he's letting that one go, who really knows. We'll have to pass nonetheless.
We got a little bit of a bang into the wall out of 4. We saw that wiggle out of 2 right here 1 lap ago, Howie, and then we saw it out of 4 in a big way, trying to keep their foot in it once they roll on it. Zachary Trevino now going a little bit higher, trying to cut back, get a bit more speed down the start-finish straight. Try to be the next driver to get to the back of Huff if possible. And Huff still with a good amount of speed. It's now the 19 Trenton Wilken is currently on pit road, has done a stop, and I presume will be heading back out onto the track. So that's not great news, but it's better news for the 19. Seeing cars circulating. Again, it's Myers, 3/10 of a second up the road. Trevor Huff, Zachary Trevino, Axel Smith, Jacob Clarino, Joshua M. Carey, Hector Colazzo, Connor Blasco, Tyler M. Helms, and Nicholas Rowe. The 90 up into the top 10. We see the top 7 all in a line. Bit of a gap back to Connor Blasco. There's no gap here. Hector Colazzo bringing the pressure to Joshua M. Carey. Carey going to try and do everything they can to hang on from the Red Bull driver.
Trevino is now the next driver to approach Trevor Huff. And I would definitely say driver to approach, because looking at the pace on track, it almost looks like Trevino is going to be the next one to really sort of go for it. Up high, as soon as you get a nose in on the next gen, that happens! I was about to make that exact call. Unfortunately, it's blown up in the way that Trevino wouldn't have liked, but I think it's knocked back Huff as well. They're both in trouble. Axel Smith's going to take the P2. That is a meatball for Trevor Huff. He's out of this race.
Unbelievable. You spoke about the next gen snap. You spoke about how it is so difficult to catch those slides. We've been seeing the number 0 catch these kinds. Now this is a big one, to be fair. This is a massive moment. And again, it's just fine. It's just fine. A little bit too much, and then it snaps immediately. And of course, Trevino trying not to lose an inch on the back of the second place driver. See Trevino on our right shoulder blade, basically. Snap, and it just catches. That's because the rear end's coming around, so right hand down to catch the slide, and as soon as it rights itself, you have to be back with the wheel straight. But it happens quicker than I can even say. You can't even say how quickly it happens. Which means Finnegan Myers 1.2 seconds up the road. Axel Smith, as you said, is in control of second position and about half a second or so back. Is this battle Hector Collazo sending it to the outside of Jacob Clarino for third place?
Finnegan Myers is pretty much going to enjoy this. I feel like he's just had his #1 threat to a race win completely exterminated and removed from the track here. So he's out of here. 1.6 seconds. I mean, obviously the next caution will reset that a little bit, but it's not exactly going to set the world on fire. Noticing Tyler Helms, whatever, is damage to the nose of that Chevy. You can definitely see the dent as we enter the turn. He's going to be aerodynamically effective for the rest of the race. It's good that he's sort of really still holding on, to be totally honest.
Yeah, lots of drivers trying to fight through issues, as we see Trevino getting potentially passed by Connor Blasco, getting a good look to the inside at the 98. Trevino still hanging around the outside. I was going to say what's left of his car, but it seems like he's able to properly, I mean, it sounds silly, but able to properly turn. Front end seems like it's still together. Obviously, I'm sure it's suboptimal. Now having to look at Carey, trying to have a look around the outside of Clarino. Jacob Clarino, one of the contenders early on, starting to fall back just a little bit. Again, trying to see if there's any sign of saving from the 54. It just seems like around the outside seems to be the way to go. You spoke about that earlier, Howie, kind of pinching the car to the bottom, giving him really no choice but to either lift off or slide up unintentionally. We'll see what Tyler Helms can do on the underside of the 16 of Trevino, who's slipping further back into the top 10.
Continuing to slip, but just about holding on to it right now. I mean, there's going to be a big reset on the next caution that happens in this field, but a lot of these drivers now, they've pretty much gone into their groove and gotten this working. Maybe around P10 we got a good battle with Travis Prather and Nicholas Rode. Now it's about long run management and conservation, though, and about pit strategy on both ends of the cautions. Those are going to be interesting for these drivers. As a reminder, here's your race details. 99 laps, I believe, that is for the stage. If that's the case, that's what I was given. If that's the case, this second stage is the one with the pit stop in the middle, and then the final one is a short sprint to the end. A little bit atypical for NASCAR standards, and if I'm wrong, then it's not on me, I'm afraid. If those are how the laps go down, it's not usually how I see things, but it means that we need to start thinking about pit strategy running into the next 50 laps.
Yeah, absolutely. We are only, I was going to say we're halfway through the second stage, but we're not even close to halfway through the second stage, considering that the first 35 gone by. We're only 20 laps into stage 2, so you see a bit of a wall scrape. Joseph Enright trying to have a look around the outside of the 54. Sends it way up the track, has plenty of grip. 58 of Prather unable to do anything about that. Enright gets another one. Drivers just trying to settle into their race. Try to keep that right front from overheating. Again, very, very toasty. This track, very good at soaking up the heat here in the DFW area. Drivers just trying to find their groove. So many lines here, Howie. I mean, maybe 4 or 5 different options. If your helm's maybe 6, considering how high at the track that these drivers go, is pretty impressive how they are able to find which groove works for them, and some drivers are able to make a completely different groove work in the same way.
Here comes Hector Collazo. Trying to charge the ball of Axel Smith. This is for P2. Probably about the best battle the rest of the field can really count on right at this very moment. Still moving along. Still not getting that done, but I feel like it will be soon.
Looks like the 87 has plenty of time to do it. Axel Smith trying to work into that 1.2 second gap Finnegan Myers has. A little bit of lap traffic up in front. Now Collazo has the inside. This is not looking good for the 26 Pickle Machine. Red Bull 87 having a look down the inside. Plenty of margin between the drivers as Smith right up to the wall tracks out nicely. But it may just be a matter of time. Collazo continues to fight. They get a little bit closer. Out of turn 4. Seeing some action through there. Joshua M. Carey still in behind. Trying to see who is going to emerge from this duel. Lap traffic will not be helping. Let's see if anybody's able to use that. And no, they're not. The 3. Brady Schreckengost staying out of that. And now there's nothing between them as they give a little bit of a shoulder to each other. This battle continues to rage on lap after lap. A bit of a wiggle for Axel Smith from the outside.
Axel Smith
Way up the track
to the
goes
top
Axel
now.
Smith, and looks like Collazo's gotten that done.
Yeah, now Joshua Carey is going to be next to go for it. And I think he very much could. Got to look out. Starting to see some pit stops. This might be a bit early for the stage, but Calvin C. Harvey ate a black flag on pit entry as well. That's brutal. That's basically going to knock him out of contention. I think he's going to lose a lap to that one. Some drivers taking it a little bit early in the run, but they've made their choice. They're going to have to lay in that bed now with 31 into the stint.
Yeah, still looking for over 30 laps. 39 laps on the clock for drivers trying to make it to the end of stage 2. And now Carey's rocking right up to the back of the 26. Axel Smith has a big, big problem if they want to stay in third. It's carried down the inside almost immediately, not to the door yet. 26 goes a bit higher, may cut back late in the corner. No, they don't. They stay out there. And have a little bit of margin. Now Hector Collazo, 0.8 seconds to Finnegan Myers. And I believe all 3 of these drivers, Collazo, Smith, and Carey, are on the way to the leader. The gap from first to fourth was what it was between first and second only a couple laps ago.
Few more stoppers. Asher Bunkley as well also ate a black flag. We have to stop speeding into pit road. That's all I'm going to say. But we're starting at the beginning of the cycle, and drivers that haven't taken black flags are going to try and see what they can do on the fresh tyres, get around the outside rail. Meanwhile, Axel Smith started 10th, now third. He's going to lose this to Axel, Joshua Carey, I think, on the outside. I think slowly he's been dropping more and more and more of these places.
Seem to be the case. Again, Axel Smith looking very, very strong as you see. Driver on the inside with the fresh tires, trying to see which machine that is. Axel Smith sails it off. Working lap 64 here of 134 at Texas Motor Speedway. I'm James Newton, joined by Howie Burrows in the broadcast booth, bringing you all the sights and sounds from Texas in the PSS Cup Series here on this lovely Saturday evening. or very early Sunday morning, depending on where you are in the world, as Finnegan Myers leads by 0.3 seconds over Hector Collazo, as Joshua Carey making it a race for third position. Axel Smith and Clarino, Blasco, Helm, Zarate, Trevino, and Rode, your top 10. And now a handful of drivers kind of making it a race on the inside, courtesy of those fresh tires. And Axel Smith now answering back. Joshua Carey's not getting away by any stretch. So this top 4 or so, again, separated by a second, maybe almost less than a second, kind of being disrupted.
More drivers calling their pit stops out of line. Now Travis Prather is the first car that has actually stopped. You know, there's one lap making that pit stop, hoping to get it back in time when the cycle's finished. And some of these other drivers looking to go a whole lot longer. Lap 67 out of 134 now. Finnegan Myers is being approached by Hector Collazo. I think his tyres have fallen off a cliff very badly for Hector to just be able to run up to him this much, because the gap was 1 second. Now it's nearly nothing. I think Hector may have held back early, and Finnegan is starting to suffer. Really trying to run it high now just to try and do anything else. And right as that happens, we get a yellow flag. Damian Cisneros is wrecked.
That right front, I think I would imagine that left front is facing us, Howie. That right front is absolutely looking away. Oh, yeah, that'll do it to the right front right there.
But how did this just happen? Like, did he just like forget to steer? Like,
gonna have a moment where we're a little bit high.
Just understeer, and then that first hit takes out the wheel. Yeah, that first one makes it impossible.
You can just see the desperation of putting more and more steering lock on, and then just trying to get the car to a place that's not going to be straight into the wall. It does look a strange one.
The turn 4 exit, many cookie cutters will just do this to your car just because you're not expecting it to sort of turn tight on exit. Charlotte's the worst track for this, but Texas is another one where it can happen and take you by horrible surprise. I don't really like it when the dog leg is like double sort of D-shaped like that. I prefer it when it's a little bit curved, because it leaves a situation where the wall just comes out of you, juts at you, and you're sort of doomed. But, you know, that's what's happened, and that's the game. I think every driver that hasn't stopped has probably really enjoyed this one, though, because they're going to get fresh tyres, they're going to keep their lap. It's not a bad situation for someone who's recently stopped. Travis Prather is only going to be 5 old on the tyres in terms of green flag running, so it's not going to be a horrible situation. I don't think anyone's in a really bad place. Now, Prather and Karloff, I might be wrong on that. Some might have actually lost laps. Trying to work this one out. Prather isn't stopping, but he was already a lap down. He's not getting a wave around. He's going to stop again. In fact, that's a closed pit entry. Ooh, okay. Whatever you say. What matters now is that Finnegan Myers comes out in P1, Hector Collazo out in P2, and we've reset the tyres for the field.
Let's see how they are able to treat these tires as we are 29 laps away from the end of stage 2. And again, Howie, you've spoken about it multiple times, that execution is so important, right? You know, closed pit entry, open pit entry, trying to make sure that you are not speeding in the pit. Like we saw multiple drivers with issues. They were getting black flags and basically taking themselves out of contention, kind of beating themselves, if you will. And it just shows how important, obviously, having the pace, treating the tires well, trying to hold back early if you can, if that's your strategy, or running away at the beginning and hoping that you still have a bit of tread or a little bit of tire life late on. Trying to work your way through traffic as well on this 1.5 D-shaped oval. And yes, you're absolutely right that the outer wall basically has 3 straight lines. You get a good view of it there, right? We're looking straight onto it. And basically the exit of 4 up to where it curves, there's no bend in it until you get to that little front section. So it can be very, very off-putting from something like, you know, maybe a Daytona or something where it's completely rounded.
Well, Daytona's a weird one, but I always think about Auto Club, because Auto Club's one of those tracks where I learned to really drive ovals properly for the first time, and you know, God rest its soul and all, but when I think about Auto Club, I think about a quite generous dogleg, one that really sort of is more curved and just sort of lets you get what you want out of it. And then literally, like, the next track that came up on the schedule was Texas. I tried passing people around the outside, and it was a nightmare. Like, the wall would just come at me, and I'd be like, okay, I guess I can't do anything here now. So I've just felt that one like deeply calmly in my heart. So that's why I bring it up. Texas, I have an odd amount of like spite against for reasons that is difficult to explain. It's just one of those that I struggle to drive.
Howie Burrows says Fontana over Fort Worth.
Yeah, let's go. Well, I can't. I'm British. I can't speak to the regions. I'll let the Americans argue that among themselves. We're green.
Going back to the restart here, Finnegan Myers, Joshua Carey leading us across the line. An enormous leap for the 0-0. Almost a bigger lead than when they came in. After having that caution come out, we are green once more in Texas. Brady Schreckengosse down the inside. Again, not the day for the 3, but is a day for almost anybody else in the mid-pack, as it's almost 3 wide. Tyler Helms trying to split the seam down the middle into 3. As Finnegan Myers well out front. Joshua Carey, Hector Collazo, Christian Zarate in the 99 up to 4th position. Looking quite good. Axel Smith kind of recovering around that top 5 as Tyler Helms, guess what, is a mile to the right of everybody else through 1 and 3.
Helms has repaired the front of that car, by the way, so he's going to be back on race challenging pace, I think. I always get very nervous seeing these cars exit the turns because, quite frankly, they do look like they're unsteady, and they do like to look like a little bit like they're sliders up and down the track. Myers again just running away with it, and Collazo's going to have to sort of do all the work he did in the last run again from scratch. Christian Zarate sort of ahead entering turn 3 and 4, but it's going to get a little bit tight and tricky around here, I think. Oh, wow, that's no good. That's no good. That's Christian Zarate around. Surely that's going to go yellow. There it is.
And freaking out a couple of drivers as they head toward that terrible wall you were speaking about, as the 99 biting a little bit, able to lock it down nice and smooth, but obviously well outside the top 10. We'll see the 99 trying to, and it just never stopped turning left. Just it almost looks like it's in slow motion. A very slow, and eventually you're hoping that if you put enough right lock in, it should correct itself without spitting you up into that wall, that little next-gen snap.
Oh, no. It's like a tragedy in slow motion. Good save to not run into anyone and to just help this race reset cleanly without any DNFs, though. I mean, and good work from the field as well to get around that. Unfortunate for Christian. Unfortunate that we're going to be here for another yellow. But we've done worse things in the world, haven't we? We've seen bigger crimes against racing than that.
Oh, absolutely. I'm not sure if that would even be a misdemeanor there. As we, again, see Christian Zarate, the 99, back to 15th position. For this one, it'll be Myers and Collazo. Tyler Helms up to 3rd. But Helms making some decent progress considering how up and down this race has been. Joshua Carey still lurking. Jacob Clarino back up in the top 5. Axel Smith falling back a little bit more. Zachary Trevino entering their name into the top 10 once again. Connor Blasco almost had the win, trying to go around the outside of the 58 of Travis Prather at Talladega 1 week ago. Both drivers basically kind of leaning on each other. It kind of turned into a race of 2 cars as they headed onto the straight at Talladega, took each other off, and in the end, Maxwell Funderburk coming away with the win last time out. Of course, Funderburk, one of the part-time drivers, who I was trying to tease back into joining up again, but able to help out their team when they can. We are not working, but we are parading lap 77 of 134.
Slowly does
we
it.
are more than halfway. Still 22 laps away from, basically 21 laps away from the end of stage 2. Driver's getting a nice reset here, Howie. Which driver do you have your eye on for this restart in particular?
I think Myers is going to have a good restart. He always does. And then it's going to be Collazo end of stint if he does it at all. Splitting this one in half is interesting because now he's got a little bit shorter time. You might push a little bit harder earlier on, but sort of what happened last stint really was that, you know, we sort of reversed the situation, and in a long run, Myers almost got challenged until he was just ahead of the drop of the yellow. I think Helms of his repaired car is looking to try and prove a point though. He's another driver that's really standing out to me, P2 in the championship, and he's beating out Trevino right now. Obviously, we're approaching the chase, and there's an advantage in having P1, but it's not sort of the win or lose. Drivers worth looking at, obviously, are drivers like Connor Blasco. If we take a look at the points going in to here one more time, Connor Blasco, don't actually know if he's here today. Do we have Axel Smith either? We do. He's up in P5. So we've talked about him dropping positions in that car, but any position around this area would be spectacular for him. And that would really help sort of push him up above that cut line, which is going to start getting scary because we are approaching the point where this is going to matter. Still quite a few races to go on the calendar, including Fontana, my beloved, on the other side. So what can you say? Still quite a while to go until the final chase, November 7th at Pocono. But every little helps, and every little round you can get that's an advantage, I think, helps you out quite a lot.
Fontana, my beloved, just makes me smile when I said it in my head, and I can't stop smiling for some reason. So I don't know what you've done to me, Howie, but that gave me the chuckles there here in the booth. Good to see Myers and Collazo resume hostilities. Helms and Carey have looked quick all day long. Lorino and Axel Smith trying to make it back up to the front. Trevino and Blasco, almost the winner last time out, and the current champion to be, as they go green once again in Texas. Good start from Finning and Myers.
Tyler Helms gets the jump though for P2, and Hector Collazo even loses that to Jacob Clarino. So you've talked about a good jump. Well, that's a terrible one, and that's really going to hurt him, and he might have to try and compensate for something by sending it to the next few turns a little bit deeper. 3 wide behind, trying not to worry too much about that. Axel Smith in the middle just about gets away with it. Dispatches of the 2. That's very helpful. I think Holmes does have something to prove though this race. I do think he really wants to take this one after being damaged early on. Even Collazo's just got a lot of work to do now, surely, because even Carino's gotten ahead in all this time. That's going to be tough for him. Myers leads 3 tenths.
3 tenths already, a pretty sizable gap considering how close it was earlier on. And you said about Hector Collazo putting in so much effort right before the first of the 2 cautions we've had last, where the 00 seemed to have no tires whatsoever. Now Collazo coming under fire. The 87 was fighting for the lead, now trying to fight for the top 5. He gets overtaken by, I believe that was Trevino. Yes, it was. So Trevino up to 4th position. And Clarino trying to have a look at Helms.
Oh, yellow again.
And I think if any...
We yellow again.
Another
Now keep
caution.
in mind, by the way, the admin is manually throwing yellows. I don't think it's that driver, but well, there's one driver halfway, quote, halfway across the, let's just use a euphemism and say blinding track. Let's try and we can work out who that was though, because these are getting manually thrown by race control when they're sort of a little bit scared that something's going to get wrong. So we might be able to find out which car it was. It won't have been a big wreck though. Driver's
Oh, there it is, up at the top of the shot. I think it's the second to last in line.
Hold up. Oh, they hate it when I press the rewind button. They say it's not very realistic. Well, who are they to tell me? Where is it?
So it's going to be right in front of Max Ford, I believe, is what it looked like.
Did I just miss it? Yeah, I probably missed it.
Yeah, there we go. So Max Ford has slowed down. I think it was the car in front of them about half a lap from then.
Let's find out.
Yes. Oh, it was Schreckengost out of 4.
Oh, Schreckengost with the spin out of the turn. He actually does take a shot into the wall. driver's still concerned about the caution because obviously he sort of cleared the field, but they are all manual this week, and the story of every driver's life here today, isn't it? Really seeing that happen on that turn. Bonk, into the wall you go.
Yeah, it just feels like there's not enough steering lock in the world to keep you from... Again, these are not light cars. I think they're around 3,400 pounds, something like that. They are not easy to stop. They're relatively easy to kind of get up and going with the enormous power. The trick is keeping the rear end or behind the front.
Oh, this is interesting. So our race leader hasn't stopped. Joseph Enright stayed out. Carino and Carey just take fuel. Everyone else takes 4 tires. Clarino's going for something very different here. And also, that's really going to screw you. That really screws Trenton Wilkin, who was looking for the wave around, and Joseph Enright decided not to stop and has just parked his car in front of him. And you know what happens when that happens? You get sent all the way to the back.
That is an absolute shame there for Trenton Wilkin, who is one of the drivers trying to get into the chase. Apologies, he's 30 points up, so he is currently 10th. Trenton Wilkin in the 17, trying to keep their head above water, if you want to look at it from kind of a more pessimistic point of view, just trying not to be in the bottom section. We see the field make their way across the line in front of what's supposed to be 75,000 people, the capacity here at Texas. That looks like a lot more to me. I don't know, just the old eyeball test. Is they continue on through the other side as well. Quite a large turnout for this one. And yeah, there's Wilkin down on the, basically underneath the apron. As you said, Joseph Enright going to be taking command of the field, but we'll have to see what the 07 can do with all these really hard chargers we saw earlier on, the 2 drivers that stayed out and did not take tires. Whoa. Oh, and an accident. Joseph Enright out of turn 2 and is still in love with the wall.
I mean, he was our leader. Did he just...
Does the wheel move at all? Oh, it might be a disconnect.
I think the wheel DC'd on him. He's also not shifting down. He's in no control of that thing.
Looking at the revs as well.
He's still there. Are we going to
07 of Joseph Enright stopped on the exit of 2. Basically, not even on the exit of 2. A third of the way down the back straight. The cars are coming around.
We're restarting this, and it's going to be Jacob Clarino to restart. Older tyres on that car compared to Myers. Let's go.
Green flags in the air. Clarino on the inside. Finnegan Myers on the outside. They're 2x2 further back. Trevino and Helms alongside, but Myers trying to have a look. Going to be cleared by Clarino. Buddy waves to the left side at Joseph Enright, who's unfortunately still stuck in that position. We stay green coming out of 4. Lap 86.
He was up against the inside wall park, so as long as he doesn't move stupidly, he should be okay to keep going. That's what I'm a believer of anyway. Around we go.
Oh, a big jump there. Hector Collazo trying to pop out from behind Axel Smith, battling for P6, and Helms, guess what? Trying to go a little bit higher, not way off the circuit, but still trying to look around the outside of this funky start-finish straight, and a funky move down the inside, the 00, trying to look for it. Myers on Clarino, and Clarino way up the track. What does Trevino have to say about second position? That may be the 16 through. Not quite. Stays back in line.
Trevino up to the top one more time, really trying to get this one done. Clarino's got nothing to say to that at all. Is Wilkin run? No, that's not Wilkin. I don't know if the driver that was parked is still running. Is that actually him down the line?
Yeah, so Trenton Wilkin is still 2 laps back from Joseph Enright technically, so
it's not
after
Wilkin.
a handful of laps, that will be Wilkin
car.
up into 16th.
It's the free.
And there he goes. That's Joseph Enright currently 16th.
Schreckengost. Yeah, okay, that's something else. That's Schreckengost. He's already a lap car as well. Oh,
big moment there.
We're going to be over. Here comes the wreck. The 26 and the 35 go across the track. And now we're yellow for that. I just heard
this is starting to be...
I'll say that this is the league that I work on that has the most potential for a radioactive edit. And I'm not going to do it. But I just heard it in a great British accent like my own, and I was like, yes, that is how it should be. We are together here. But let me tell you, from 3 weeks of my life of covering these guys, they absolutely deliver the goods on the mic. A nasty 3 wide, 26. I mean, I'm not really sure whose fault this is. I'm going to leave it to you, actually, to make that decision.
Well, so Kerry has a moment right there. Kerry's still having a moment, and has a really slow...
It's the car in the middle. We slides. Easy.
Yeah.
Ouch. I thought there might be something in it. I didn't really see the slide quite so obviously. And I was like, oh yeah, he just like, loses grip. So what can you do?
Well, it's from so far back in turn 4. I think Christian Zarate, who's actually right behind in the 99, brilliant to get through. It happens. It's basically about...
It's at a cursed 87.
Right there.
It's at 87. You go near another car in the next gen and it just spins. It's a fantastic car. It's my favourite platform in all of stock car racing. You just go near another car and you cause a wreck. By doing that.
Well, it shows you how important being out front is when it comes to those kinds of snaps. Of course, being out front means you got to absolutely floor it. And that is what can cause issues on the rear end. I was going to say on the rear end. On the front end, you could push it up the track by accident. There's all sorts of ways. There's so many ways. It's like the Willy Wonka of accidents here in the next gen. But again, these drivers, the drivers up at the front, able to handle this machine. Having a bunch of snaps, having similar or the same moments as other drivers, and able to not only preserve the car, but continue to run consistent laps. That's what it takes to win one of these races. As we see again, Finnegan Myers still hanging on to it. Only 7 laps, going to be 6 or 5 before we go green. I'm assuming we'll easily be going green before the end of stage 2. At lap 99, Myers and Trevino sharing the front row. Then it's Helms, Clarino, Rhodes, Zarate, Prather, Bryant, Jacob Bryant, another driver trying to get into the chase. A little bit further out, Connor Blasco and Kerry, who had that terrible accident just now.
How many cautions has it been this race? It's going to be hard to count. Maybe we'll play that game at the very, very end. But we're going to make it one more run, I think, to the finish now. No more planned cautions in line. 43
Joseph
to go
Enright,
now.
the 07, officially disqualified, by the way.
I don't know, they got rid of that car. They were like, can't deal with that one anymore. I respect it. Some drivers choosing to make a pit stop there under that caution. Did anyone take tyres there? I was confused about what I just heard on the microphone, and that is that the real NASCAR race just had its checkered flag. We're not going to spoil the winner on the broadcast, but I was curious. Someone was talking about, it takes the checkered flag to win, and I was like, what are you talking about? And they've just clarified that apparently the race finished at Richmond, which means you can catch the finish of this one live, which, is exactly what you want to see. So really, everyone wins.
Absolutely. Get that IRL stuff out of the way so we can get back to what really matters, which is the UIS Precision Speed Solutions Cup Series here. Broadcasted live on Precision Entertainment by yours truly, James Newton, alongside Howie Burrows. Up in the comms booth and in the production booth in 2 places at once, bringing you the sights and sounds from Fort Worth, Texas. Lights are out on the Chevy Silverado. It is familiar faces up at the front, albeit a couple of faces that are missing from this top 10 after the attrition has been rising just a bit. It's Myers and Trevino, Helms and Clarino, Rode and Zarate. Nicholas Rode in the 90, hanging around in the top 10, looking for a good result. We're going to come through turn 4A if you want across the line. Myers with a good jump. We are back to green in Texas.
Look out for Helms to the bottom. I think he's already going to try and take Trevino just like that. Down low, up high. And Carino loses out on that restart. Not a great one again. Seeing a few drivers really struggling with those. Running close up the track there, Tyler Helms. If you get too close to another car, it will explode. Please remember that. We've seen enough cases of that. We need to not maybe risk another. Make it 40 to go across the line. Our leader doing a good job of getting away. I reckon this will all come back to bite quite soon, and we're going to have a grandstand finish one way or another.
Absolutely. Only a handful, literally a handful of laps to go in the stage. You see Zarate pressuring the 90, drives it in very deep up in behind Clarino.
Did you just see that?
Road.
Oh, Blasco.
Oh, my goodness, and a big accident. The 98, that's Connor Blasco. The target 98 up into the wall, rolls back down. What's happened here?
He was already sliding, that's why I made that noise earlier. He actually, oh, that's contact with the car on the inside. At that point, that car is inconsolable. Eventually causes that restart. Let's catch from above that contact. That was with the 79. Definitely this wasn't just a car getting close to another. There was a little bit of paint traded on this one. I believe that's Jacob Bryant. I'll check. But yeah, that's a bit of a shunt into the turn there. That's a Bunkley. Bunkley was the other car. See, that's why I said I had to check.
Yeah, we'll get it right. Make sure we're good. This is less of a shot to the side, more of a shot to the rear, I would say. Yeah, it's kind of, again, driving it in a little bit deep. And of course, all these cars right on the edge. They're going between 99 and 101% back and forth almost every second that they are turning left. Trying to see who was coming down pit road that I thought might have been blinking. Looks like Carey might be the first one down, but I could have sworn I saw another. Maybe I'm just losing my mind. The car coming down pit road. Looks like my eyes are working just about enough. 35 Carey, first one down for service.
Just a few getting their fuel topped up, I think, mostly. We're not seeing anyone on the jacks. We're 75% fuel. We're about approaching that margin now where some drivers want to make a quick top-off stop and finish the job if they've maybe not been saving quite up to this point. Now they're sort of locked in and ready for it.
Of course, assuming that we try and stay green, see how the drivers will be reacting. Every single time I see a driver kind of just listing lazily, not lazily, but listing toward one of the walls, I always get worried as I see Tyler Helms kind of just moving to the left, down toward turn 3, and I'm making sure that they're going to pull it back right at the last second and not hit the wall. We've seen a lot of different stuff, Howie. There's been a lot of different things all in one race. This has definitely been a race. .38 to go on this evening. Zachary Trevino moving up alongside Finnegan Myers to 00, as we saw earlier. Had Huff. They were trying to chase down, and that ended up with an accident that saw the 21 or the 0 out of contention. Myers seems to have had all the answers and has been allowed to take all the restarts courtesy of being up in front. So 00 not really involved with that much side-by-side racing since being able to take the lead. Trevino and Helms have been doing most of the battling the last couple of cautions. Clarino trying to march their way back up through Nicholas Road, looking like a really, really good contender. The 90 not really going anywhere. And Christian Zarate, after being down in 15th after a big, big moment, able to make their way back up into third row. Driver that's kind of had the opposite effect has been Axel Smith. Axel Smith not able to get back up into the top 10. And will continue to be trying to fight their way back through.
Well, can we get a run? Because this has been getting a little bit stop-start and disappointing, as some of the top drivers have been getting pretty frustrated at the state of things, and start to see why. Away we go. Myers always, you're naturally going to get a good launch under the iRacing restart zone. It seems to be always the case that the leader gets it well, but P2 is the important battle, and I think that bottom line has just done better than the top, and Tyler Helms is going to slot in for a chase that he might take all the way to the end. He's not actually quite clear of Trevino yet at all. I thought maybe he dispatched of Zachary. Not at all.
Driver's trying to find a bit of slipstream, but of course not in the corners because it takes the air off the nose. These next-gen cars really need the air to perform well in terms of not doing anything unpredictable, which is what we've seen this next-gen car do all evening long. High side for Clarino, trying to clear the 90 of Nicholas Road, trying to make it a race for 4th position. Zachary Trevino in the 16 up into 2nd position, and looks like they're closing on the 00 of Myers, who will of course have that threshold laid down. But what does Myers have if Trevino's on the way? Tyler Helms has their mirrors full of the 54. Christian Zarate around the outside on Nicholas Road.
Single file for the whole line now, but I think there has been a lot of chopping, changing and battling throughout this whole run. It's pretty much now push on one stint, push on one set. We're rocking around the start finish. Myers not really getting away.
Yeah, Trevino's there. Trevino's there. What does the 00 do? Last time they were feeling this pressure was that he's an enormous amount. Travis Prather, among others, 97. Jacob Bryant, another driver who realized Axel Smith able to sneak on through in the 26. Oh, that's a big moment. Oh, it's nasty.
Another wreck, but that was brutal. Preva, goes low and snaps, and that's just going to be everybody that gets collected. Hector Collazo eats a meatball from that. Does he hit the white line? No, he just snaps it on the exit. Collazo,
I don't know if I've ever seen one snap that hard.
So many drivers just got wiped out.
Damage. Yeah, at least 4 drivers. And then we also saw Max Ford and the 3 of Schreckengost coming together afterward as well. So Schreckengost trying to go high. The 11 of Max Ford, the DHL machine, on the outside as well. So this is going to be a really good shot. We're going to see the initial incident. And then just up front, again, Max Ford trying to make it through. Axel Smith with plenty of space at the very end of the line. Drivers on relatively cool tires on a very hot track. But yeah, it just snaps so quickly. Trying to ask a certain amount from the car. We're now under caution number something.
Have you been counting?
It feels like 7.
I'll play the game. Let's count them. I think it's been 8. I can do the work. It just takes me to scroll for a giant list of every single thing that's ever happened in the race. But you know what? The things I do for you. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 cautions here today.
9.
Give it up for caution number 9. Ring the bell.
Caution number 9.
And Texas.
Well, what that means is Finnegan Myers doesn't have Trevino on their tail. They're going to get another chance at a restart, and they will know that the 16 is really hustling. So whether Myers can do anything about that might be good to keep in the back pocket if the 00 needs to turn up the wick immediately. So kind of showing their hand a bit. is Trevino, but that was a really, really good look. And I think that as soon as they start battling, I could not tell you what Myers is going to be trying to do here. As we have 31 to go, going to be 30 to go. Coming across the line as we have almost a third of the field that we started with in shot. We have Finnegan Myers, Zachary Trevino in second, Tyler Helms third. And it's Clarino, Zarate, Rode, Kalhoff, and then Carey, Bunkley, and Max Ford up to 10th position. See the drivers a little bit jumbled at the moment, but we'll get all sorted out at the end of caution number 9. Howie, who do you think has been the most comfortable in terms of the car control? Because obviously lots of drivers really, really pushing. Even if they've lost a couple spots, who's been like the smoothest driver that you can kind of take as of note?
I'm looking out for Tyler Helms. I'm honestly looking out for Tyler Helms right now. Myers has been fantastic this race, and Myers has been strong, and he has a chance of winning. If someone challenges him, it's Helms. It's just going to be between those two, I think. Everyone else has been pretty strong out here, but I just keep seeing Helms just go in and make those moves. I mean, Myers to the bottom 3 wide beginning of the race was really impressive, but I still keep that one in my mind.
Myers has got one thing in mind, and that is pushing the right pedal as soon as they can, and it's green flag once again. Guess who goes with them? Tyler Helms trying to go down the inside of Zachary Trevino. We're green once more in Texas. Tyler Helms gets the jump. Zachary Trevino back to third. Max Ford pulling out of line, trying to make up spots from the back of the top 10 as it's Myers leading. High side for Trevino. Zarate and Clarino side by side. Zarate looks like they may get that one done. The 99 looking down low. Trevino looking up high. And Zarate well up the track. And now Clarino's going to come back on the inside. Trevino have a look down the inside of Helms. They are going to stick the nose in there. Helms stays out high. 3/10 of a second, 3.5 of a second. Oh, and they bang wheels. Zarate up in the wall as the 7 and the 16 for second position, trading some paint. And Zarate's got a bit of an issue trying to hang in there. Now almost the left rear as the 90 tries to have a move. And now here's Christian Zarate around the outside of Clarino.
This is replay of the moment. He actually blinked out in the moment of that and then gets swamped by 3 drivers, so it's quite hard to tell what happened. I was curious if maybe we'd get a better shot of it. Side by side for P2. Myers is getting away the longer they battle like this, though.
Yeah, Myers almost up to half a second, and it looks like, I believe Trevino, oh, they're still rubbing. Howie, they're still going side by side. I think Helms prefers the outside. Oh, they prefer to be away from each other. It seems like Helms and Trevino absolutely trading blows for second.
And
into the wall. Trevino and Helms into the wall. Helms now losing a spot to Clarino. Sorry to cut you off there, but I was trying to see what was going on. More contact from second and third. Out front, 7/10 of a second. Finnegan Myers looking relatively comfortable. 25 to go here in Texas for the UIS Precision Speed Solutions Cup Series here at Texas Motor Speedway. Zachary Trevino coming under fire from Jacob Clarino, who's re-entered the chat. The 54 looking quite strong. Tyler Helms 1.1 seconds behind Finnegan Myers after being about a third of a second behind. 7 looking to make their way back up through the field. Only 3 cars ahead of them in this stage. We are now under 25 to go Henry Kalhoff looking like a dark horse. 17 able to stay up with the leaders. So it's Myers from Trevino, from Clarino. And it's Tyler Helms. Joshua Carey still in this one after having a handful of incidents. 35 has not had a normal day, to say the least. Henry Kalhoff, Asher Bunkley, the 79's also been in the wall as of late. Nicholas Rode looking for a spot in the chase. Joshua Carey looking for a spot down low under the 7 of Helms, who wants to be going the other direction. Seems to prefer the outside line, but Carey is going for it now.
And that wall, not pleasant. I don't have a bitter feud at all, but they're going to do a lot of work here to catch up to this top 3. And it's gonna, Helms has been dropping, which is exactly what happens every time I hedge my bet on a driver, by the way. This is pretty much how it always ends, just saying his name willed it into existence. And now he's struggling to make up ground. Struggling. Stuck behind. Well, top 3 pretty much single file. By the end of the run, tyre wear might have affected them differently, but I'm not seeing much else from them.
There's still a long way to go, over 20 laps now, coming to 20 to go across the stripe. That Precision Speed Solutions number 7 trying to find a bit of saving grace on the high side, just trying to get away from Henry Kalhoff, who is sticking the nose in and is looking like they may get this worked out. It takes a handful of laps to get a move done. You are this evenly matched. Oh, and Helms kind of coming back down all over the shop, and it looks like we're going to have another one around. The 91 goes around. Carey able to stay out of it. We stay green. What a terrifying seat of the pants moment for the 91. For the 17, apologies.
Kalhoff gets away with it. And it's a little bit of accidental contact where Helms tries to clear himself on the nose of Helms. It's a little bit opportunistic, and that is sometimes what happens. Good save to keep the car in one piece. I guess Helms has a position probably not the way he wanted to get it. And now Trevino chasing down Myers. This is going to be the battle for the win.
Certainly looks that way. Only a third of a second. Trevino a little bit wider. Myers running kind of a lower line, maybe potentially trying to take the air, or I guess the opposite way, trying to keep the air on the 16. Wants to keep the air off the nose in the corners and doesn't want to punch a hole through the air. Of course, nobody in front of Finnegan Myers, so having to force it through the Ford on its own. Chevy able to tuck back in. Clarino and Carey are relatively close, but this is going to be a very, very interesting 17 laps. The far side of this one, high side goes Carey. May try some kind of a cutback. Now down to the inside. Almost clips the grass. Clarino trying to hang around the outside of the 54. Looking for something. And I don't think they're going to be able to get it. We've seen Carey kind of all over the shop all day long. And tracks up right up in front. Extremely close, almost hitting the wall. Now high side goes Clarino. It looks like that is job done for Joshua Carey. I believe they have a little bit more pace in that 35. Out up front, it still is as you were, about a third of a second. But yeah, this is basically going to be a test of who is using more tire. It looks like Trevino a little bit of a wider line, and Myers very shallow, Howie.
Bit by bit by bit, some of the passes happening on the road is Rode and Bunkley for P6. Pardon the pun. And they wreck. What? You know what? Well, you know what? Why even like make calls like that? I should know if I look at something, I beckon the wreck. It's just how it's going to happen.
Trying to work out if this is actually your fault here, Howie. No, it's going to be contact.
Oh, no.
Oh, it was almost like the reverse of Helms getting into the back of the 91 that we saw. Oh, it's a pretty hefty hit. And then, oh, the 30 kind of came down.
Yeah, that angle doesn't look good. That angle doesn't look good for him. I'll give him that.
It doesn't. I'll agree with you on that. So the 79 coming up, that's a pretty solid hit. I think the axles are actually across each other. They're not even next to each other. So it's basically a bit of door into front axle for the 79. Asher Bunkley currently in 14th. Oh, and Max Ford again almost getting wiped out. So Nicholas Rode, who's been running a pretty impressive race in the top 6 for a handful of laps. So this is us a little further back. And again, we're going to get a front axle full to 79. So we turn it in, and all of a sudden, car straight across us, and then a bit of bump.
Okay,
bump,
yeah, that looks less bad for him. That looks less bad for him. You could strain an argument maybe. He got DQ'd. He got DQ'd for it though. Race control decided to get rid of Nicholas Rode for that incident. Remove him from the track. He's out of it. Race control ain't there to stick around anymore, I don't think.
I think part of that is just that we've seen a handful of incidents, and again, only 12 laps to go. It'll probably be about 10 or so when we get the green flag. Race control trying to keep order and do their best to make sure that the competitors are abiding by any and all rules. And drivers re-entering the track. Myers out in front. And I believe that's Brady Schreckengost showing in second. Obviously, handful of laps down. Currently in 16th overall. Lining up on the outside of Finnegan Myers. Spot most likely be occupied by Clarino come the end of this caution period. Yeah, Howie, in terms of that accident, as soon as you began speaking, I'm not really sure what to say. I mean, I want to say it's not your fault. That's what I really want to say.
It felt harsh. That feels like a harsh DQ, and that from above it looks like retaliation. From in the car, it just looks like he got slided in front of. But that's just me.
We've also seen similar incidents again. Like a couple laps ago, we saw Tyler Helms and Henry Kalhoff going at it. As we see, was that? Oh, I thought that was Myers. That's Schreckengost, I believe, on the start-finish straight. And again, I couldn't tell if they were parked near the wall or in the wall. The number 3 fires it back up. We see Myers this time on the outside. I'm not sure the last time I saw Myers on the outside of a restart.
You at home, you didn't hear what that just was. All right? You didn't hear that. Oh, don't worry about it. You might not have even heard it on Discord. My mic is very sensitive on OBS, and oh boy, one day I'll work on it. One day I'll work on it. You're really confused right now, but everyone at home might wonder, like, what the hell was that weird crashing sound? The answer is you didn't.
I have a couple question marks, but I also have ADHD, so it's already out of my brain. So all good there, as we have the lights out on the Chevy Silverado making its way around. Thank you, everybody, for joining us here this evening. Again, James Newton, Howie Burrows up in the comms booth. Howie bringing you all the sights and sounds from the DFW area. This UIS Precision Speed Solutions battle we have for the Cup Series here in Texas. Finnegan Myers bossing it at the front. Clarino, Carey, Trevino, Kalhoff, Helms, and more, as we're going to have a 10-lap dash right at the end. Myers goes immediately, and we are green in Texas.
I said maybe the last time every time, but maybe the last time doesn't come. Now, this run's going to be really, really, really short, which means it plays into Finnegan Myers' hands because he's very good on the short run, falls off on the long run, and a lot of his long-run rivals have been getting hit by falling anvils from above. This might just be Finnegan Myers' race for the taking with 10 to go now. We'll see how hard he's been pushing earlier on in the stint. He's changed one side of tyres, so has Jacob Carino. They've only taken rights. A little bit of smoke at the back. Was a little bit worried that we were going to pace again. We get away with it.
Really close from Max Ford and Connor Blasco further back. They are really rubbing and bumping, but out front with, again, that classic Myers 0.3 of a second seems to not be in trouble, as Jacob Clarino able to be the driver trying to have a look at the win. One more overtake, and that's all the 54 would need to take it here in Texas as they come across the stripe. 8 to go. Myers, Clarino, Carey, then Trevino. Trevino looking very high. Zarate down low. Then it's Henry Kalhoff, Tyler Helms, Jacob Bryant, Travis Prather, and Max Ford, your top 10.
Trevino trying to get P3 back. Joshua Carey on the bottom side. That top has been getting better and better as the race goes on, but you know what happens when you go too deep into turn 4? It's exactly that. They get away with it, but it's not pleasant, is it? It's not pleasant to bump into that wall.
Absolutely, the wall. I don't even think, I was going to say the wall doesn't mind. I don't even think the wall cares. It does not have a soul, it seems, here today as Carey now a little bit of a nudge in the back on board. Trevino trying to go down low. And a little bit of a wiggle, going to have to back out of that one. Carey able to maintain third. This is such close racing here. 6 laps to go. We are running out of time if they want to have a look at the back of Finnegan Myers. Finnegan Myers just doing what they've been doing for almost 2/3 of the race. Question is, can they do it only 6 more times, 5.5 more times? They make their way out of turns 4. Clouds, overcast has descended on the track, still well over 110 degrees Fahrenheit on the tarmac. We're seeing everybody relatively line astern, the top 5. Bit of a breakaway. Tyler Helms and Jacob Bryant relatively close in behind. Jacob Bryant would love to get around Tyler Helms. Tyler Helms doesn't really necessarily need the points at this stage. All drivers still fighting for a good spot, but Zachary Trevino into the wall one more time. I say one more time like it's not going to happen again. These drivers are pushing it.
Clarino is going to push like hell in order to catch Myers now in 4 laps, and if anything, he's not getting the turns 1 and 2 of his absolute life. So makes me think he doesn't quite, even if he's like faster a little bit on like maybe a bit of a lap or 2, he's probably not He's probably not that much faster over the course of the rest of this run. Nah, it's pretty much dead even to where he started on the line, so that's not going to happen. Myers is in a great place here to take this win. Helms is battling out with Jacob S. Bryant. That's Bryant on the bottom, Helms on the top. Still pretty even on the corner exit.
And not looking good for Clarino's victory chances, considering how long, even if they get up to the back of Myers trying to force the nose in, it still is taking drivers on similar pacing, around 2, maybe 3 laps to try and get a move completed. And we only have 2 to go. The trick does just Joshua Carey have something for Clarino. Carey precariously getting a little closer to the 54 potentially, but again, it's going to be a wild shot. Trevino well outside the wheel tracks. And across the line for the second and final time is going to be Finnegan Myers. 1.5 miles to go. Down the inside, Joshua Carey trying to have a look at Clarino. They're separated by basically nothing. They're going to be side by side for second. Myers out front over a second as the battle for second is going to be a huge squabble. And Clarino still able to hang in front of Carey. What does Trevino have to say about it? They're all fanning out. 35 going to the high side. Is the 54 going to let them do it? Myers across the line to take the win. It's Clarino, Carey, and Trevino, your top 4.
Well, Myers was pretty much leading for more laps than you'd ever really expect out of him. He had very, very, very good short runs and a lot of aggression in his back pocket. I thought maybe he'd get bested on the long run, but actually enough cautions flew to get him in a good place now.
Absolutely, the 00 with some serious pace. Running in the top 3, I believe, for the entirety of the... Or no, I believe they dropped down about 4th or 5th or so. We're able to get back up on one of those restarts. And burns it out in actually rather spectacular fashion. Now they found the grass. Going to try to get out of there. The 00 Finnegan Myers, your winner here in Texas for the PSS Cup Series.
Burning out on the track now, Finnegan Myers. We'll be talking to him and some of the others at the end of the race. And quite a dramatic race, I'll dare say. A few twists and turns. There's your finishing results. Race is led up by Finnegan Myers, with Jacob Clarino in second and Joshua Carey in third. Then it's Zachary Trevino, Henry Karloff, Tyler Helms, Jacob Bryant, Travis Prather, Christian Zarate and Max Ford.
Further on back, Connor Blasco in 11th, Axel Smith finishing 12th, Trenton Wilkin 13th, Asher Bunkley 12 laps down at 14th, Brady Streckengost 20 laps back. Then we have the drivers that did not finish. Hector Collazo 16th, Calvin Harvey 17th, Damian Cisneros lost them on that funky move to the inside of the pits. 18th, Trevor Huff earlier on in 19th after leading a handful of majority of the laps led up until that point. Chris Parker in 20th.
Two more places. All drivers didn't finish. Riley Ibanez, William Johnson, Nicholas Rode and Joseph Enright all not making the checkered flag. I'm hoping to speak to some of these drivers. Going to need to wait them out for just a minute. Sometimes it takes a little bit of waiting them out. So, if you just give me a second to do something cool, we'll be back after a very, very quick break. We'll see you on the other side.
Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head-to-head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series. In officially licensed cars, engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.
Welcome back to our live coverage of the UIS Precision Speed Solutions Cup Series here at Texas. We have just seen the 00 Finnegan Myers take the flag to win. And we'll be speaking to Finnegan Myers here in just a moment as they join us in the broadcast booth. Finnegan, how was the race out there from your perspective?
It was good. It was a struggle to get here. Didn't have any practice, had an insane amount of technical issues going in. So had no laps and just kind of winged it, but the car was super fun to drive. It was super hot and super slick, so you could really burn the tires off and you'd really get loose. I didn't do a very good job that first long run, but you learn and you try to do better later in the race. But car was yawed out. It was hard to drive. It was on edge, and that's what I love about racing, and I think it's a great time, so I had a good time.
May not be the part of the race that you'd like to talk about, but I'd like to talk about the 87 of Hector Collazo chasing you down right before one of those cautions came out. Were you feeling that pressure? Was it tire related, or was it just a bit of trying to save for even later on?
It was a bit of both. I mean, typically when we run these cars in this series and these kind of setups, they usually tend to go to the tight side. So, like I said, having no laps didn't really have a feel. I normally do a longer run in practice, but I didn't get to, so I didn't really have a good idea of where the balance was going to go. So, just went freer than I expected. So, I was just woeing down, kind of saving my stuff, hoping I could make a run back. But yeah, he ran me down, so good on him. And then I think from that run, we learned from our mistakes and adjusted, and we're better the rest of the night.
I was going to say, it almost looked like, if you could even call it this, smooth sailing out front, but obviously you had a handful of pressure. You had multiple drivers, different drivers, Trevino and Helms and a handful of others that were within about 0.3 of a second, but they just couldn't seem to break that barrier. Was that kind of your threshold for the evening? Yeah,
for sure. Especially in this car, you get hate for it, but you have to drive the car and drive it the way that it's supposed to be driven, and defense and dirty air is a big thing. So there's no reason for me to go run hard and build a gap and burn my stuff when I can just manage the gap behind me, keep them in the dirty air, and never have to worry about it.
We've got other tracks on the way. How are you feeling about the next time out when we go racing for the PSS Cup Series?
Feeling great, honestly. I mean, looking at the schedule, we're going into, I call it the summer stretch, but after the All-Star race, after Talladega, goodbye to the super speedways, not sad about that. And now we're back to like typical driver's tracks where we left off, and we went into the All-Star race 4 in a row and came out of Dega and got right back to where we left off. So yeah, hopefully we can keep this up, and I love the way the schedule looks for the next month or two. So hopefully we can keep racking them up. The goal was double digits, so we're halfway there. So not doing half bad.
Yeah, heading out to Phoenix, Las Vegas, and Auto Club, and I would also agree with that you're not looking too bad there. And anybody you'd like to shout out or thank tonight?
Absolutely. Battleborn Rays got them the win. This is the first time they've been on the car this season, so that was cool. Hopefully they enjoyed that. But then Edmonds Motorsports, Holy City Brewing, Gossett Supply Lines, Red Bull, everyone at Ryco, and all my teammates here who do a good job as always. And I love to keep putting the cars in victory lane for them.
Well, congratulations. Thank you so much for joining us up here in the broadcast booth on taking the win here at Texas.
Yeah, absolutely. See you next week. Have a good one.
Finnegan Myers coming away with the win in pretty dominant fashion. Also got helped by all of the cautions that were able to keep the field at bay, but able to outrun nonetheless. As we have the third place finner, Joshua Carey, trying to bring it on home, and the 35 looking pretty good out there. They have caught up with Howie.
Josh Carey, bit of a chaos. Let me unmute on Discord and we can try that one again. Bit of a chaos race there. A lot of cautions came through, but it was a bit of a game of survival. Second to third, though. Maybe you wanted better?
Kind of. I mean, on the long run, I didn't feel that bad. Had the pace. I was matching Hector during the first stint. We managed to run down Finnegan until a caution came out. I think what didn't help me, like you said, I went from second, is that I gave up a lot of track position in the first stint. I gained it all back, thankfully, but it's just every restart I'd always lose one position, and we did get a stretch in mid-race where there was 5 laps and a caution. So at some point, I think I went from like 4th to 8th in just back-to-back cautions. Like, it worked out fine. I had my own incident mid-race. Took a few other people with me, unfortunately, and I'm sorry for them. But then I avoided the big one out of 2. That was a heart-in-mouth moment because they wrecked above me. Yeah, not really much else to say in terms of my pace. I guess I just had a little bit of luck today.
How's Phoenix going to treat you? Very, very different track.
I've never been good at Phoenix in officials. Probably not. It's probably going to be the same story, honestly. I've never ran well there. I've never liked the track. But to be fair, I did say that about Texas coming into this week, and I finished P3. So anything could happen.
Any other thank yous or shout outs?
Just the usual. Alex Ortega, he's always in VC with me. He couldn't be here today, though, unfortunately. But the boys in that Discord server as well, they know who they are if they're watching, but I doubt it. But yeah, all good.
It's good to hear an accent a little bit like mine in the booth, and big up the big 4 a.m. for the iRacing leagues. It's always worth it at the end of the day. P3 for Joshua Carey. Good job.
Thank you.
Well, that wraps up on the top 2. So top 3 we could speak to. P2 just wasn't didn't come to talk. So what can you do? That wraps up this round of the championship, and that means we got a lot of high momentum to keep on going, because August 22nd we head up the desert of Phoenix.
Absolutely right. August 22nd, same time, same channel. And Howie, any other final thoughts?
Well, Ray, I always find that UIS is the league of lots of fireworks on the track, and that certainly was a firework-heavy race. There's plenty more coming to the channel as well, by the way. Check out that list on the side and to goprecision.live to find out more about getting your shows produced by Precision Entertainment. But you never quite know what to expect, no matter the size of the runs around here. Texas looks simple, and then it's sort of its own weird little lady in black. I find it bites just as hard as harder than you'd expect, really.
Absolutely, a handful of drivers for sure. So let's see how the dogleg of Phoenix treats us next time out. Well, with that being said, it is time for us to say good evening to all of you. Thank you so much for watching Precision Entertainment. I've been James Newton alongside Howie Burrows, and wishing you the best of